There we go.
Good. Oh,
I think
we
so.
can't.
That's a great start,
are we on?
isn't it? Down, just went
It was
blank.
teasing me then.
Very good. Enjoying
How are you,
this
Jamie?
glorious weather. This has been the best summer ever.
Yeah. It has. It's been the hottest summer ever. It's good during the day, but at night, in the evening, your sleep game's got to be on point. How was the Noble event?
It was brilliant. Brilliant.
At the weekend.
Games weekend down at the home gym TO, which was cool. So Noble did a great job of setting up this big fan zone screen, some activation areas, a couple of workout spaces. But ultimately, my time was spent watching the games and drinking, here you go, Food Spring frozen slushies, which are a game changer. I was justifying the fact that I could have 2 at a time because there was enough protein in there to make me strong. But I got brain freeze most of the time. So, yeah, it was good. Great weekend. Great to catch up with some
Awesome.
friends and stuff like that. Yeah, it was good to catch up.
Go on.
Lots of people in London. Carl Steadman
That
coming
sounds
down,
good.
which is great.
What about? Awesome.
Yes.
Was he coaching or was he not coaching?
Yeah,
or
he coached a couple of hours.
was he? Cool.
Yeah, there was a very northern theme. There was lots of northerners down, which was quite nice. Met Anthony Monks and his lovely wife Sabine.
Oh, did you? Okay.
They went truly in the fold in Noble. It was good.
Awesome. How about the games? Brief thoughts of the games. Go on, give me a quick
overview.
Brief overview.
Love the skill element of it. Really challenged the people that had just been getting strong. I think it really, if you think of programming and its ability to kind of be translated back to the person that's written it, as in it looks like or it feels like, I think Adrian Bosman really put his touch on it, which is great. I think I had this conversation with a lot of people. A lot of people speak to me about programming, and it's at the end of the day, it's bringing it to life, and it's making sure, obviously, we're trying to find the fittest person. People were slamming the program in the first 3 days, but if we have a look at the 3 winners of the main competitions, the male, the female, and the teams, cream rose to the top. If you had a real outlier win any of those categories, you could possibly question the programming's validity, if we put the right word in there. But yeah, look at those guys and girls that have they're proven. Well, one of them is proven, but they well and truly nailed it. So I enjoyed it. What about you? Anything stand out to you?
I was really excited when they released, most of the events. I looked at them and I was like, that looks like a really cool test. I'd actually really like to do that. For me, the bike one off the bat, not great to watch, but it's an event where it'd be like, you can only really do that at the CrossFit Games. It would be, or can you actually do it only at the CrossFit Games? Hey, we'll get around to that in a second. But I think, the capital actually using the city, that will have been awesome as a competitor. And I think the tests, like I say, they look really good, and the cream rose to the top at the end of the day, which we always expect. I'm going to address this now. In my opinion, on the crossover dual unders, and we had a little bit of this conversation before, I think that should have been released maybe a couple of days before for the spectacle side of things. But then we were speaking before that is being able to pick up skills, new skills, part of being like the fittest and becoming the fittest. That skill acquisition, is that part of being the fittest? It's up for discussion, but again, just interesting to see what athletes can do them. We racked up a few friends that we know could probably do them straight off the bat.
Definitely
not us included.
I've still got the whip marks to show. I do like the new challenges. I think as box owners or guys listen to this and coaches, you've probably all tried the crossover already. Definitely stacked up a couple of weight plates and done a wall facing strict handstand push up. All of those things, and they're just new skills. And I had this conversation of like, it's silly. Why would you program it? I was like, everyone said that about the pegboard in 2015 when they put it in and no one could do it. And now this year they had to make it so much harder that you weren't allowed to use your legs. Just the evolution of the sport. I think the crossover double under will probably be here to stay now, as in it will filter through the levels of competition. So starts at the games, normally goes to a semi-final, then we'll see it in those quarterfinals, then probably in 4 or 5 years' time, do we see it in the open? It's basic jump rope skill if you're a boxer. A few of my friends that kind of do that stuff were like, well, we do these for 2-3 minutes at a time, like you're just going. So, watch this space. We haven't programmed them. We have programmed single unders, but we haven't programmed them just yet. Maybe put them in on a Thursday as a skill piece or a bit of jump rope play, just to, the more awareness you have, they might improve your double unders, knowing where your hands are. Most people have their hands out too wide. Is it a matter of knowing how to cross them over?
Speaking of skipping, Monday's workout,
definitely
single unders, baby.
This will catch some people out. I think we've this is straight out of the athlete plan. We've written our tic tac session, and we've got there's more caveats to this. There's more to this workout than meets the eye. 3-minute window, 1 minute rest, 3-minute window, 1 minute rest, 3-minute window, 1 minute rest, then we go back through it again. But we put some things where we want the double unders to be in 2 unbroken sets of 50. If you've got a real elite level competitor or someone who really is pushing competition level at your gym, make them go back to 0 if they trip, if they've done 1 set and they've got to get their second set. If you've got a regular member who's coming to get the best hour of their day, they don't need any more stress in their life. So again, understanding how to adjust these sessions for the everyday member is hugely important. Jack, you said you had a go at the dumbbell Devil's Power Clean with a couple of 30s. I asked, did you just stand up and use those massive biceps of yours? But you said you used your hips. So talk me through how you banged your dumbbell power cleans.
So we actually did this workout at the gym yesterday, tested it out, and with the dumbbell burpee power clean. So I'm usually, or in the past, have been someone who will just whip them straight up. But for those with the 10 reps, it's actually a real slog. So bringing them up between the legs, swinging them between the legs, and then taking them up to the shoulders made it feel just massively more efficient. It's much easier to get a good hinge that you can use when the dumbbells are between your legs rather than outside of your body and your arms just swinging back. So definitely go through a couple of different techniques to do those devil's power clean, and when I brought them back down between my legs and then put them on the floor in a controlled manner so that I could get my chest straight back down to the floor in between the dumbbells rather than having to fanny about rolling them out to the side so my little chest could touch the floor. It was good though. It was good. The 1 minute rest gave you it was just long enough for you to recover from that muscular fatigue. Your heart rate came down a little bit, but as soon as you got back into that next interval, it was right, back to where it was before. And it progressively got that little bit higher as we went through the sets, which you'd obviously expect. And the added element of breaking the toes to bar or having, sets for the toes to bar was actually, it was challenging because especially when you got to the 3s, you had to be super disciplined to jump back up to the bar, and actually having to do that big swing every time was actually quite taxing. It took the wind out of you a little bit more. So it's one of them where you really feel it in your stomach towards the end of this, because it's a lot of hinging, a lot of bending over. So it was a really good workout. I really enjoyed it.
It looks like it's set up to be pretty tough. That second round, I think one of the things that we'll say I like this workout for an elite level person. It was about how quickly you can get back to the bar. For the everyday member, try to explain that doing sets of 3 might be a quicker way of doing this workout versus the member who's like, I'll jump up and I'll do a big set. I'll do a big set of 10, and then they're down to 1s and 2s, taking big breaks in between it. Whereas actually, if you can be nice and consistent on sets of 3, you're probably going to be able to pace this workout more evenly in a different context. So trying to break down the taboo of everything has to be done for a big number. It's just trying to drop those numbers down and being able to move a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was really good. And I think people will look at it and think, oh, those Devil's power cleans are heavy, which they're meant to be. But they'll also be like, this looks pretty easy, like breaking the toast bar into these sets, breaking the singles into these sets.
Yeah.
A little bit of a trap. It's more tasty than what you anticipate. Cool. On to Tuesday, 5 rep max back squat.
Week 3.
Bang.
So week 3.
Into a great.
We're realising our potential. So if we think back to 2 weeks ago, we had 5 sets of 5 where we accumulated some good volume, 25 or so reps, pretty heavy. Then we started to intensify it, so we went a bit heavier, and we looked at our 3 sets of 5 last week, with our last set being a max rep set. And then finally, on our small little build, a 5 RM. So we have a 20-minute window here. Probably going to say for the first kind of 12 to 15 minutes, we're building good quality. Stick with sets of 5 throughout, and then maybe 1 or 2 sets before you go for your 5 rep max. Look at a single or a double building up. We don't want to be hitting 5 at say 90% of where we're going to get to. That might be too fatiguing. And then that leaves the rest of that 20 minutes to mop up two back off sets of 5. So we still accumulate some volume. And that'll be good for the people that don't necessarily go too heavy, or they kind of missed the program. We're totally aware that this time of year, people's training patterns are very sporadic due to school holidays, due to holiday in, etc., etc. So we've kept the format really simple on these squats, and it's just a nice strong base to build from.
Awesome. On to the workout, Max Annie, and this is really going to finish the legs off for today. Jumping air squats can be a shady one. I remember when I was coaching classes more often, there's some very shady jumping air squats out there. Have you got anything that you usually kind of stipulate when you're getting people to do jumping air squats?
So first thing you'll spot as a coach is like the under the table burpee, where they're like not fully extending at the hips. You'll get the under the table kind of air squat. People will be leant forward, chest will be on their knees and their thighs, hands will be on their hips, that kind of stuff. Good way to think about it is like interlock the fingers, put it behind the back of your head, and then pull your elbows back so you're nice and upright in those squats. And you're really shooting for extension at everything, knee, ankle and hip. So you're trying to get yourself off the floor. This will really burn and tax. This is probably harder than the actual workout, Annie. But obviously we had some single unders yesterday, so we were looking at a slightly different variation, and we wanted to kind of get a bit more volume into the legs. I think use the sit-ups as a bit of a recovery. I think that's where you'll be trying to steady your heart rate, because your heart rate will be picking up and up. And then if you hit that first 50 sit-ups really hard, enjoy the next 2-3 minutes of your life trying to bring everything back down.
Yeah, awesome. On to Wednesday, we've got our first CrossFit Games workout that's appeared.
Yeah, it's the bike.
And it's event 1.
When I saw this, I was... If we think back to a year ago, when we were writing the class programming, one of the workouts that we'd put in near enough exactly as it was the toaster bar kettlebell lunge workout.
Yeah.
And I remember the members absolutely loved trying to repeat that. So when I saw this workout, I was like, this is exactly the same kind of feeling I have. I was like, this is the right workout to put in. I have modified the distance on the machines, just to kind of really bring down that and then allow us to prioritize a bit more the gymnastics element that we've got. If we think of the games level, they were probably, I think a lot of the athletes were off their toaster bar in a couple of minutes. Realistically, the 75 toaster bar are going to be somewhere closer to like your 5-minute test. So first thing to snap at is if you've got a member who really is dialed in and knows what their 5-minute test is and it's below 75, maybe they're using that number as their target for the workout. And then understand the consequence of if you absolutely bang the toes to bar, you won't be able to recover on the machine like a games athlete will. So your chest to bars are going to pay. So I'm looking at this like, right, I'll be sensible on my toes to bar, so then I can make sure I can manage good quality sets of 3 to 5 on the chest to bar.
Chest to bar. Yeah. I'm aware as well there could be a little bit of fatigue going into this day from Monday and Tuesday a little bit, but not probably not as much as what you think, because obviously with the smaller sets of toes to bar that we've given you, there won't be that same muscular fatigue that's carried over, because you're not under the time and attention isn't quite as much. So we are aware of that, but like I say, it's teaching the members to manage, the amount of reps that they're doing. And like Jamie said, it's making sure that they use previous data that they've got to pick the correct number of toes to bar that they're doing for this workout. I think grip, and we saw the games for a lot of the athletes. The grip for a lot of the athletes blew up. So I think managing that will for some members. Will be a challenge in itself. Rower, so
I think it will very much mimic the same kind of feeling as those guys had on the bike. I think if you're on a C2 bike, you're probably going to be okay, because you're not going to have to handle the bike unless one of the wheels is falling off on the C2 bike. It's not going to be too wobbly. If you're on an assault bike or a rower, I think it's going to very much mimic the same kind of upper body fatigue that you're going to feel from what those games athletes had, which is, I think we were talking about this earlier, is like, you guys want to do things that the elite levels do to an extent. We don't want to do 3-4 workouts a day every day across the games weekend, but we want a bit of a flavour. The amount of people that have said, I wouldn't have struggled with that sandbag walking up those steps. I was like, you haven't run 3.5 miles in 100-degree heat and that sandbag's heavy. So it's just kind of sometimes reality checking some people, just to kind of put them back in their place. There's nothing wrong with that. We've all been put in our place, haven't we? At least once or twice.
Yes. Wicked. On to Thursday. 30-minute max distance row. This is a good benchmark to kind of have, even in pairs. And in the rest, we've got some accessory work, which is good. Obviously, this is a piece where you can, if you've not been in the first couple of days of the week or you've missed a day, you can push this workout a bit harder. If you've had a tough Monday to Wednesday, you can cruise on that rower and just get some quality accessory work in there. So great that you can play this one a few different ways.
Choose the kettlebell weight based off of how you're feeling. If you're feeling a bit beat up, these kettlebells can really beat you up even further. If you're not feeling so good, just go nice and light and keep it nice and smooth.
For people that are cruising on today's session, on that Thursday session, if you're the coach, maybe set a few challenges for the members to do. For example, like, can you hit a 2-minute pace, for your first 10 minutes, and then can you drop it by 2 splits? Set little challenges if there's some members in there that are maybe that higher level who look to do the odd competition, local competition, just so it keeps the brain ticking over. Obviously, some people might just want to completely switch off, but there's always someone in the class that just wants that extra challenge, even if they're feeling beat up. So, some ideas there. Finish the day off with some core work, and then on to Friday, we've got our time and attention session for handstand push-ups. This is week 3?
Technically week 2 of handstand push-ups. So since our debrief, so deload,
yes.
shall I say? So we've got debriefing. With this, we're just looking at adding more reps to what we've done previously. So we are alternating weeks now.
Yeah.
So if we think about this, there are handstand push-ups in kind of every week. Same with toes to bar, as you kind of seen. Earlier in the week, we've already got toes to bar, but they're not necessarily in our time under tension session. So there's sneaky ways of still accumulating volume. But with this being a set structure, it's great to kind of pull out the exact same metric. Right, can we get more than what we did last week? Or can we see an improvement in our positions? For some people, it might be, okay, I bit off more than I can chew in the first session. I thought I was I was better than what I actually am. Okay, so I'm going to go down to the pike handstand push-up and start to build a better base from there. And these are all good conversations to have. And I don't think there's any right or wrong conversation. Sorry, there's no wrong conversation to have with someone. Just guide them into for them making better decisions. We all know that. Go on.
I think. I was going to say the other one is that I'm aware of. Is that some people think, I've got to aim for consistent sets on every set when I work through these time and tension sessions. And it's one of them where go off how you feel a little bit more. So, for example, some days you might be feeling pretty good and you might want to try, a bigger set or going close to a max set. And then obviously there'll be a bigger drop off, which is fine. But at least you kind of finding out different things. How many can I do a bigger set of handstand push-ups than I've been able to do before on that first set? What's my drop-off like? Other weeks you might want to aim for the consistent sets. So there is different ways you can tackle doing these sessions to vary them up a little bit more as well, and just get a bit more information for yourself, which I don't think a lot of people realise. They just think, I've got to aim for consistency, when it's like, no, just give yourself that bit of flexibility, go off how you feel a little bit. So if you're the coach, definitely make members aware of that point for
definitely,
these sessions.
One thing
as well.
I was going to add is not necessarily it applies to gymnastics, but it also applies to kind of coaching anything or how you communicate with members. And it's based around trying to get them to lead the conversation. So you come up to someone and they go, Jack comes up to me and goes, I can't do a handstand push-up. Okay, cool. Normally my initial reaction would be, or what I used to do, was to try and then dictate, well, why don't you do this? What I've started to do now is go, what can you do? And then they'll come up with an option. And normally the option is what we've already told them previously. Like, I reckon I could probably get a few reps with one ab mat. Do you think that's good? That's what they'll ask you. And you go, great. Because it empowers them. They've made the decision. So then in theory, like, if they mess it up, it's their decision. But then secondly, they're starting to think for themselves. So then that's where we start to get buy-in to the program, to the coach, to the other people around you, is when these members are making decisions. And as a coach, how good is it when you've got a group of 20 people and you go, right, guys, any questions? Everyone goes, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. They're just shouting things at you. And you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Actually, you can question it. You're like, someone said they're going to try and go, do you reckon you got it unbroken? And they're like, yeah, I've got it. I was like, sweet, go for it. I'd rather them die trying because they think they can do it than me telling them you should do that unbroken, then they can't do it. They feel like they're failing. So try that, like, where coaches, when you're there, is don't tell me what you can't do, tell me what you can do, because I can help someone do the thing they can do or think they can do it, versus you just telling me you can't do something. I can't do crossover double unders. All right, sweet. Well, is that helping you do the thing that what are we going to do then?
Tell me what you can do.
So just a nice little thing to switch into a positive conversation, because ultimately it's a negative because they can't do it, but actually they'll come away with a positive. They're like, actually, I can find that working.
Flip it around. Yeah, awesome. The workout, just straight up triplet, 10-minute AMRAP, shutter runs, dumbbell power cleans, bear crawl. It's going to be again. This is going to be a spicy little one. I think the first two movements are going to be graphed, and then it's on the bear crawl, probably pacing that so you can push the other two movements a little bit more. For the bear crawls, and I should know this, but what's the standard, or how is there a certain way that you should be wanting members to do the bear crawl? Because I know back in the day we got members to do bear crawls more like keep your knees close to the floor, so you're putting a bit more tension on the abs bottom, where you can put your bum in the air so it mimics a handstand position a little bit more. What is it you want?
Yeah, I wanted it that
coaches
that second variation where the hips are nice and high. We're starting to get that rock side to side, so we've got the boundy legs.
Yeah.
I tried to keep people to keep their legs straight as well, so then it kind of really mimics that handstand walk fatigue.
Cool.
Also, if we're thinking about it, the shuttle run's going to be obviously legs and lungs. The dumbbell power clean's going to get some legs and some shoulders, and then the bear crawl's going to get fully shouldery and lungy.
Yeah.
Also, this is a sneaky kind of heart hypertrophy session to an extent, because we're starting to push the blood around the body in different areas. We've kind of got it in the lower body, then we've got it kind of going through the whole body, and then we've got it in the upper body and the shoulders. Like running with no arms is never a nice thing, but I noticed you'll probably notice the first couple of out and backs on the shuttle run, you'll be shaking out your arms, and then you'll pick up that pace. And I feel like this is a great way to develop endurance in your handstand walk. These are great. Like lots of people don't like doing bear crawls. They're in the warm ups and they're like, oh, don't do it. But the more I focus on them, the more consistent I am with my handstand walk. So good low skill element to build up the volume in your walking.
For sure. Good little workout, that. Good little workout, for sure. Right, Saturday. Classic. I feel like this sort of stuff is just classic barbell cycling, weightlifting pieces. They're great. Members love them. Coaches love them. Everybody loves them. Just being able to focus purely on barbell cycling as well. Something that we don't do at this time of year. Not too much of. But you've always got to sprinkle a little bit of it in here and there. For your barbell cycling, Jamie, what are your kind of top tips that you usually either pass on to your coaches to give to your members, or give to members to focus on?
From a clean and jerk point of view, is slow is smooth, smooth is fast on touch and go work. So when we're drilling it with a stick or the empty bar, and even into the lighter loads, we want to move probably a little bit slow, just so we can actually feel the positions we need to be in. And then more for the specifics of the clean and jerk, it's 2 jumps. I always try to really simplify things down for the members. So we're thinking of jumping it from the ground to our shoulders. And when we think of jumping, when we land, we always want to land with bent legs. And hopefully that land allows us to be in the bottom of our dip for then our second jump, which is a jump from the shoulders to overhead. So once we've kind of gone through the individual positions, I'll tend to do a big group empty bar where we go, I'll say, jump, and they'll jump it to their shoulders. I'll hold everyone in that position, in that power position, go around as a group, correct people's hip positions, make sure we're ready, full grip, and then I'll shout, jump, and then they'll go again. And then obviously they'll jump in their push to hold it, and I'll say finish, and then they stand, adjust their feet back down to mid-shin. Because once we start to get those positions correct, if we think about the person that we want this touch and go, so I'd rather it be lighter and we just work it as a skill drill, because if we think in about 10 minutes time after, we're going to be doing a pretty intense workout. So this is more skill element and like learning to cycle those reps for then in 6, 8 weeks, 12 weeks down the line, you can then really push the intensity on this, and maybe we do double grace or something like that. Watch this space.
Maybe we do. Big fun for me. I love the jump. Other key thing for me is making sure that when bringing the bar down, people are hinging forward so the knees aren't in the way rather than squatting down, and trying as best as possible to make sure the bar path, again, on the way down is exactly the same as what it was on the way up. So keeping that bar as close to the body as possible, obviously without hitting your head, hitting your nose, etc. So again, just taking the time through the warm-up to just go a little bit slower, like Jamie said, and maybe pause in certain positions as well, so people kind of really get where the barbell should be as you start to build the weight as well. So yeah, cool. busting up. James looking down like, whoa.
Bring a mate and get ready for it.
We had this on JST Athlete a couple of weeks ago, but as an individual version. So the individual version was 2 rounds, 500 metre row, 30 burpee box jump overs. We've turned it into a partner variation. 1k row, 60 burpee box jump overs. This is going to be busting some nuts, that's for sure. How are you getting people to pace the row? And what are you saying to people on the burpee box jump overs with how to break that? Tell me how you get people to strategize it first.
Firstly, I would want people to understand that round 2 is a completely different workout to round 1. Round 1 is, you're going to be, if it was 1 round, you're going to be redlining it all the way through. You're really, really pushing it on. But we've got to understand that second round, being able to maintain high quality paces on the row is going to be just as important as how quick you do that first set of burpee box jump overs. So as a timeline, 30 to 45 seconds of punchy but not full on efforts on the machine. We're probably looking at something that is in and around our 1k row. So it's not okay, I'm working for 30 seconds, I'm going to try and send it like my 500 meters. Okay, it's going to be something more about that 1k, because the work coming off of it, we're going to try and switch every 4 to 6 reps on the burpee box jump, so there is some built-in rest. If we think of those energy systems, we're working for 30, resting for 30 on the rower. If all of a sudden we only do 2s on the burpee box jump, all of a sudden it's changed from having a prolonged rest into a really short rest. It can really jack you up, and it means that then you're chasing the back end of the burpees into the next row, and then that's not a good place to be.
It's going to kick some heads in that. It's going to be a real great workout. It's a great Saturday workout. I love it. So simple, and just so nasty. I think, like you said, keeping the rest the same between the pairs is the big thing. And if there's a pair who maybe aren't similar in fitness on the burpee box jump overs, just breaking it so that one person's doing maybe 1 or 2 more reps than the other, just so again that work to rest is staying the same. Be aware of that. Make sure people are going off the rough kind of same work to rest ratios. And just to add on to the row, it's a bit of a trap, especially that first round, because I know a couple of people on the individual version went a bit too hard on the row, even a little bit. For example, I know a few people went 145 pace. I think Steve was closer to like a 155, and just have more to give on the burpee box jump overs, because you can gain so much more or lose so much more time on the burpee box jump overs than you can on the row.
Numbers.
So be aware of that as well.
At like a 155 versus a 2-minute split, the difference in effort is quite a lot. To row at 155 for 1k versus to row at 2 minutes is quite a significant difference. But it's 10 seconds. It's 10 seconds.
Yeah.
The difference between I'd say
you lose that on the transition.
So you'd probably think 5 burpees fast over a box versus 5 burpees slow. There could probably be 20 seconds in that. Very quickly, you put your hands on your knees, you jump over the box the wrong way, that kind of stuff. So again, this is where I've been very fortunate to work with Cameron at Rowing Wad, and he used to row in workouts, but he would be rowing the same pace as the top level CrossFitters, and everyone would go, why is he not rowing faster? Well, it's because he was resting and conserving his energy, knowing that he's going to get off at the same time, but then he has to work harder on, well, let's give him a strict handstand push-up and watch him slow down, that kind of thing. it's he's going to have to then work extremely hard on those things, whereas the CrossFitters are a normal height person, so they can just bash through them. So yeah, I always try to understand where those things go.
Yeah. Awesome. A great Saturday session. On to Sunday, we've got the push press work. We don't usually put strength work like this in on a Sunday, to be fair. So I'm aware there's going to be some gyms that are more strength based or like to do more strength work in the classes that may switch this onto another day, which is fine if you want to do that. But we put it in on Sunday, which you're getting your upper body pump, which is our usual kind of Sunday. Usually, you get a bit of a pump, don't you? And we follow it up with some accessory work. Obviously, the format of the reps, we've dropped the amount of reps this week.
So
we expect the load to go up.
Asking in week 1 to leave something in the tank for week 2. Hopefully we've squeezed out a bit more, and then just dropping 1 rep off each of our sets this week will hopefully allow us to squeeze a little bit more. I've been doing a very similar format on the push press myself, and I found that my efficiency of movement, my ability to extend at the hips and making sure I'm really transferring that energy into my hands has improved week on week. So push press is something that it's a real skill that gets missed out. I was having this conversation with someone yesterday. Is that a lot of people strict press and bench press and things like that. And a lot of people push jerk and split jerk because that's the weightlifting equivalent. But having a really good push press carries over to being very good at push jerking and split jerking. But the same can't be said to working back down to having a really good push jerk or split jerk. Doesn't mean to say that you've got the ability to push press correctly. I'm a fan of thrusters as well, and that possibly means that there is a bit of a transfer in there, just that extension, and not about rebending under. So something to pick out, because if someone wants to improve their push jerk or their split jerk and they're technically very adept, it's either a maximal strength thing, so the strict press can help it, or it's learning how to maximally use your hips, and the push press is a great training tool for that.
Yeah, 100%. Awesome. And then we've got a little bit of accessory work to finish off the week. Nice and steady. Upper and lower body based. Again, just good bit of imbalance work just to make sure everything's staying, pretty even. But let's leave it there. Looks like a class week of training. Should be excited to get stuck into it. Trying to think, we got anything coming up? We're at CrossFit RS3 this weekend. Oh, yeah. I'm competing next weekend, yeah. This weekend, me and Jamie are in Norwich at CrossFit RS3 doing a seminar. But that's about it. We've nothing.
The whole year until
nothing else in the pipeline coming up.
Christmas is over. But I mean, we get a few.
Don't we?
We get the Open. That's definitely like Christmas. Then we get the quarterfinals, because again, a lot of people still get to play and do CrossFit in the quarterfinals. And then we get to watch the semi-finals and the games, which is always very good.
It's true. We do. The other big one that's actually coming up is for some gyms is strength and depth as well.
Running it, Jack. You might have heard it here first. There's no qualifiers that normally.
No way.
Are up and running.
True that.
Takes a little bit longer to get up north. That news, doesn't it?
Shit, man. You got the inside info. Yeah.
I know. I don't know.
I'm surprised about that.
Out of it, but
yeah.
Be disappointed, but it's one of those things, isn't it?
Stumped me.
I can't envisage how difficult a role Ollie has trying to organise a 12-person comp and things like that, and maybe
juggle everything.
And he's well deserved.
Fair.
The lad.
Maybe. Yeah, it's true that he's got a lot to do. Maybe I'll have a word with Rich Hornsey. He seems to be taking over all the comps in the UK at the moment. So, yeah.
Good to speak to you.
Good to chat, mate. And we'll Yeah, we'll speak to you all.
Yeah, see you later.
See you all soon. Speak to you all next week.